Hello, I'm Matt Williamson at Williamson NFL. Give me a follow on Twitter. How's everyone doing? Still a little chilly out there. Still got a lot of snow. Feels like winter, but it's off-season time. And this very second to 1 week from now, I will be probably getting about halfway between Pittsburgh and Indy. Pretty psyched up for combine coverage. You'll get all kinds of stuff. What I'm hearing, different testing. We have great guests while we're in Indy too. I mean, so Matthew Berry sits down with us, and Draft Nicks and Greg Cosell, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a really good week there, and I'll be filling you in. But today, just so happens, Bill Barnwell at ESPN put out, what's the title of this thing? 17 wide receivers available in free agency or trades. And the Steelers have to look into all these, and I just want to buzz through them. His trade candidates: Tyreek Hill. His salary this year is $26.5. He's 31. These ages are going to be when the season starts. Declined a little. Also, they had no verticality to their offense this past year. Their offensive line and running game were real problems. He also played with a broken wrist, which shouldn't slow down his explosiveness. In the end, I'm not sure he gets traded. They seem to be kissing and making up to some degree. And he's expensive, and they're kind of an in-it-to-win-it team, but they do have cap issues. He's also high maintenance. I mean, it's not a secret that he was not on some draft boards way back when for doing bad things off the field. This is the first season where he's not been part of like pretty much a big-time contender, and all of a sudden he's complaining. Is that really what you want? I mean, and I don't think he'd cost, any of these trade candidates I don't think would cost as much as you think, but they're not going to give them away either, so I would have some interest, but I am curious when I buzz through these, in the comments, tell me who your favorite guys are. Another trade candidate that Bill has is Debo Samuel. I kind of disagree with him. It sounds like over the weekend, there's a good chance that he will be released as a post-June 1st guy. That frees up a lot more cap space for the Niners. They need it for Purdy. Right now, he's making 12.6, but if he's released, you could obviously renegotiate with him. And the guys that are released, they don't hurt your comp game. He'll be 29 entering the season. A lot of wear and tear. I like him a lot. He's great after the catch. Still great after the catch. He's hard to tackle. I think there would be a nice role for him here in Pittsburgh. I certainly am interested in Debo Samuel, especially if he doesn't cost you a pick, if you can wait them out and grab him in free agency. I think that's something you definitely have to explore. The other trade candidate he doesn't mention here, and then we will get to another Seattle receiver, is DK Metcalf, and that seems to have calmed down. I think they want to roll with Metcalf and Smith and Jigba in Seattle, but they have really rough cap situation too. So I wonder if you could pry him away. I think he's probably a third-round pick, something like that. He's younger, sort of a one-trick pony, but more so than just a big, deep threat. But still, he could beat you up, and he's volatile too, especially on the field. I would have interest, but I think that one's going to be a little pricier than these others in terms of compensation. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to the NHL and UFC. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. So this Barnwell ESPN article, I mentioned that it's 17 names. When we get into these free agents, two he didn't mention are the top two on the market, T. Higgins and Chris Godwin. I don't think the Steelers are going to be in on Higgins. He's going to be really expensive. Deep down, I go back and forth on this all the time. I think that Burrow will get his wish and he will keep Higgins in Cincy. If not, I don't think you can outbid the Patriots of the world that really have unlimited funds. As a true free agent, I would very much be interested in Godwin. He's another guy that you would definitely be battling 5, 6, 8 teams in terms of giving him the best deal, the best situation. I'm sure the Bucs would like to keep him as well. So it's great to sit here and, that's something you do in early February a lot is, man, look at the top free agents at every position. And, they could just grab this guy or that guy. And I'm guilty of it too. But in the end, there's 31 other teams in the league. And, you got to outbid them or make it a better situation. It's not just as easy as it looks to just grab the top free agents, obviously. Now, here's some cut candidates from Barnwell, and this one's probably my favorite. That's 32-year-old Devonte Adams. We know Rodgers is not returning to the Jets. They're going to cut Lazard, doesn't interest me, and Adams. Just because he's making like a $30 million cap hit this year. Doesn't mean he can't play. He is a masterful route runner. Maybe he took a slight step back this year, and he is 32. And he's expressed a lot of interest in playing on the West Coast. But I guess he was also interviewed not long ago and said, I'd love to play for Mike Tomlin. Now, this isn't the pass happiest offense in the league in terms to pad your stats and try to get into the Hall of Fame. And we know his history was following Derek Carr, following Aaron Rodgers. So I would definitely be in on that at least, the second he gets cut. Another one I like a lot, and maybe this is the most logical of all these names, is Christian Kirk. I think he gets cut. Him and Evan Ingram are really their only ways to make more cap space, and they need a lot of things in Jacksonville. New staff, obviously. He's more than just a slot. He can do both. He's only 28 compared to some of these other names on the list. And obviously, if you added Kirk, you're probably not done. I mean, I'm thinking Kirk, a third-round pick, Pickens, Austin, Wilson, Skoranek is your receiver room. Heck of a lot better than it's been. There's no doubt about that. He's a tough guy. He'll block. I think his mentality fits in well here. He's not a diva that needs 12 targets a game or he's going to cry, So I think that's probably your most logical, true upgrade, guy here. The other one he mentions, we've talked about a bunch, is Cooper Kupp. He's 32, declining, but he's still a great zone beater. He's almost like a tight end at this point where he just knows how to sit down in zones and finesse defenses, but he's also very physical. Sure-handed, tough. He, as would a couple of these guys, would be great influences on the room. Young receivers, maybe reel in Pickens a little bit. But an injury history. I mean, Kirk's coming off an injury too, but it's a broken bone. He'll be fine, But Kupp would definitely interest me. Just don't think you're getting the guy that was the Triple Crown winner. I mean, he consistently misses time too, but he'd be helpful, and he's a lot better in what they play. He's a lot better than Van Jefferson. The other Seahawks guy I mentioned is definitely going to get cut, and that's Tyler Lockett. Obviously, he has a great rapport history with Russell Wilson, if that's the direction you're going to go at receiver. But Lockett's had a very underrated career. I really think he was a good player, but he's pretty close to shot. I mean, he caught 49 balls, 2 touchdowns, 600 yards, but he's going to be 32. It would have to be a pretty cheap deal, and some of these other things would have to fall him through. Because, again, you have Wilson, you have Austin. Do I really want a third little finesse guy? I just don't think that's the makeup I want. Now he gets into free agents, too. And many, including myself, have joked that this free agent class is ridiculously good if it was 4 years ago. Keenan Allen is on this list. He's 33 years old. Pretty much a slot only. Doesn't move the needle for me a lot. I think Marquise Brown at 28 years old is going to get a pretty big payday. And I get the impression that some of these faster downfield dudes like Brown, like Slayton, are going to get paid more than you think. But Brown's also a smaller dude, not the most reliable guy in the league either. I think that's not really the direction I want to go in terms of style of receiver, and he's not going to be cheap. A fallback option, if you go reasonably deep into free agency, he only made $8 million this year. He's going to be 31. Brandon Cooks. He's not quite as big as I like, but he's a professional, and he's better than what you had. I know no one's doing cartwheels saying, oh, Brandon Cooks is going to revive his career here. He probably wouldn't. But if he gets shut out on some others, or even if you were to add Kirk and then late in the process you throw Cooks in the mix too, maybe that's not the best scenario, but I wouldn't mind having him in the room heading into the draft if he didn't have anything else. One I'm torn on, but I'm leaning more and more towards I would go and least pursue in free agency is Amari Cooper. He's 31. Pretty uninspiring year, but he got to Buffalo on the moving train. You've heard that a million times with Roman Wilson. And was injured right away and never quite fit in. But he's a route runner. He's a prototypical X-receiver, line of scrimmage, beat man coverage type of dude. Seems like he's kind of an odd dude and has publicly said he doesn't love playing in the cold, but that's coming off a stint in Buffalo and Cleveland where he was just fine. So maybe that's past him or gotten over it, whatever. He made $20 million last year. He would definitely not be in that market this year. He wouldn't cost you a pick or anything. He's a free agent. It's not super exciting, but it might be a slight buy low opportunity on like a 2-year deal. Stefon Diggs is another one. He's 31. A little volatile as well. Is this a buy low opportunity on him? I didn't love what I saw his last year in Buffalo before Houston traded for him, and now he's coming off a torn ACL. I guess if the price is right, I would consider it. But do you want a guy like him coming in here and saying, I got to demand the football, I'm the best receiver on the team, when he isn't, you know? Not a great blocker, but he's had a great career. You know, I mean, that's a tough one for me. He does have Godwin on here, but I think Godwin's way ahead of all the other ones we talked about. And then he has a best of the rest. Adam Thielen. He's not bad. I mean, the guy keeps hanging on, and he's got an old man's game that drifts away slowly, and they have a big-time youth movement. He's only owed $6.3 million this upcoming year. He's 35 years old, though. And he could be a trade candidate. I mean, I don't know that they'll cut him or not, but I think you could peel him away easily from Carolina, who's trying to get young. Again, I like all these guys 4 years ago a lot better, including Mike Williams, who we know about. He's on this list. I've told you guys, he's not a priority for me. I hope you don't think it that way. But if Mike Williams ended up in Latrobe in July and something else, that's not your only plan, I can understand it. I mean, it pretty cheap deal. Bring him back on a 1-year deal. Do Pickens things with him. DeAndre Hopkins is the other name. Again, these dudes were really good a couple years ago. He played through a knee almost the entire time in Kansas City and earlier in the season with the Titans. But I got to wonder if he's shot. He's up in age for sure, too. But he also has that type of game where you just throw it up, and even when he's covered, he comes down with it. So maybe he does fade away a little slower and revitalizes himself coming off a knee. Last two names don't do much for me here either. That's Demarcus Robinson. He's better than you think, but he's got a little bit of off-the-field stuff. He's going to be 30. He's probably a 3, but he has size. There's some physicality to him. He's flashed. And the last name, I just had to throw it out here because it's the last one on here. Juju. He's going to be out there. He's still only just a slot. He has not done much of late. No, you can do better. And if someone like that, that's, you know, I mean, I might just as soon have Skoranek because he can have special team potential too. Well, extreme special team value. You know, Juju probably is a number 4 receiver that doesn't help you unless there's really an injury, especially on a team like this that hardly plays 3 wide. So those are really your names. I mean, maybe I'm missing a potential trade candidate, and that's definitely possible. Throw it in the comments. Tweet me at Williamson NFL if I am. I just kind of stole this off Barnwell. He didn't have Metcalf on there. But some are appealing, especially when mixed with the 3rd round pick, something like that. And I do think they'll upgrade the room, So there you have it. Take care, everyone.